So a young, inexperienced Peter Parker not only gets PTSD from not holding back and almost putting a man in a hospital, killing him, he also starts to understand what it actually means to be a hero. And let me tell you, this comic series, which is canon by the way, is way better than the other current Amazing Spider-Man series going on. Now of course, my name is AJ, here at the Hero Informer, and let's get into it. Now the story immediately starts and we see Spider-Man sitting in the rain. And with this future self narrating for his past self, as this entire series is basically a retrospective of Peter during his younger days. And specifically here, this is right after Uncle Ben has died, so it's pretty understandable why a 15-year-old Peter would be sad and moping around after an event like this. And as I just said, this entire story has a narrator, the narrator being future Peter, with future Peter Parker basically telling us the story of past Peter and the problems that he goes through, with us even seeing a little montage of where he is now, after losing his parents and being entrusted to his aunt and uncle, to even getting bit by the spider and having these amazing powers with an amazing ego to match. But at the same time, that ego and indifference on his part is what led to his downfall with Uncle Ben. Moving over though, we actually see a parallel with somebody new, somebody who's going through a tragedy just like Peter, experiencing loss in their own way. And you might be saying, okay, who is this? Looks like the Red Hulk got mixed with Thor. But no, this is not a new character per se, but he's a very niche Spider-Man character, who we will find out a little later. But we do see this mysterious red creature having a dinner party with some fake people, made up dolls, resembling a family of some kind. And as he continues to talk to them and basically role play as being a family man, the comic and Peter goes on to say his name was Niels Van Ander. And if he seems pretty untethered from reality, well, he's had a good reason, as this now hulking beast suddenly snaps and starts to destroy everything, smashing the table, fake food, and the people. As Peter then describes, saying Van Ander worked for Osborn Industries, a research assistant, although he was less of an assistant and more of a guinea pig, because even though at this point Norman Osborn wasn't the Green Goblin, he was still a couple months away, because this is happening in the first chronicles of Peter becoming Spider-Man, being 15 and all. Because at this time, Osborn Industries was testing out a new strength enhancing formula. And what does this have to do with anything? Well, this formula would later become the Goblin formula itself, making this hulking red beast, who looks like he himself could be a Hulk villain, the first Goblin, or the Proto-Goblin, a prototyped and or mutated goblin creature. And as I said before, this is Peter during his first years, meaning so far he doesn't have any of his iconic villains or rogue gallery, and has been fighting normal crook and criminals so far, meaning this now Proto-Goblin might be the first one to give Peter real trouble. But as this hulking red beast continues to go on his little rampage against his makeshift family, it is revealed that these aren't just fake, but they are replicas of his own family, a family that he can't go back to, because of course he is now this demonic looking creature. Future Peter goes on to narrate saying, the police believe Van Ander, this new Proto-Goblin, drowned and died, but his body was never found. But of course he did drown in a way. The man he was, the ordinary life he treasured before, being a family man, was washed away forever, because Norman Osborn lied to him, giving him this experimental formula as a guinea pig and transforming him into what he is now against his very will. But as this now Proto-Goblin is now sitting in his sorrow, he even gets approached by a feminine stranger in his home. As they go on to say, family, huh? Nothing but trouble. And who is this mysterious person that might help this new Proto-Goblin? Well, her identity might even shock you. Moving over though, back to the Parker household, we see Spider-Man and Aunt May, as their relationship is pretty much really strained right now, as this is right after the death of Uncle Ben himself, so things are already at a rocky start. And Aunt May even being the one to realize something is wrong with Peter, she asks him as much, saying, something wrong, Peter? But Peter, of course, being defensive and not wanting to put too much on her plate, he says, no, I'm just a little worried about today's chemistry test. With Aunt May joking, saying, really? You? Please, you would get 100 without even trying. But of course, as things seem lighthearted right now, future Peter then reveals that they have both been lying to themselves ever since Uncle Ben's death, pretending that they were okay, that their hearts weren't shattered, and that they would talk about everything but Ben, because in his own words, they were trying to protect each other, or maybe they were trying to protect themselves from the truth. As we see, not only are they dealing with the death and loss of a loved one in Uncle Ben, but they are also dealing with financial problems as always, with rent being overdue and even the possibility with them losing their home. But of course, Peter's not going to sit idly by and just watch this happen and leave all of it to Aunt May, especially not when he has these amazing gifts that he can use to his advantage. As we then move over and see Peter leave home, going to an agent he knows, because they were swimming in unpaid bills and they needed cash fast, and this guy was just the guy to get it for him. But things were looking good up until it wasn't, as just now the Daily Bugle started their iconic hate printing for Spider-Man, with his agent even saying, ever since that nut Jameson went on the warpath against you, the work has dried up. Everyone is afraid of you now, with him saying he is now finished in the showbiz. But Spider-Man being as desperate as he is now to not only keep his good image, but with his personal life and Aunt May afloat, Spider-Man says he is very desperate. And with his agent Maxwell finally giving in, not only saying how miserable he can hear him even from behind the mask, he says he will look and try to find him something. Which of course makes Spider-Man very happy, with him even saying, "I could kiss you right now," much to the disdain of Max, his agent. But with Spider-Man now swinging off into the city and Day being as happy as ever, he even goes on to say, "For the first time in weeks, I am allowing myself to feel hopeful." But of course that feeling is partly short-lived. As he is swinging, he sees somebody yelling out, "Stop him! That man, he took my purse, somebody please stop him." As he sees a random thug taking a purse from an old woman. And of course he swings in to stop them, but this isn't like normal times, as this particular incident struck a nerve in Spider-Man. As he says the lady the thug stole from was around May's age. She was scared out of her mind, and he was running off with her money, her credit cards, and even perhaps photos of her grandkids. And so Spider-Man swings down to confront him, but this thug, not being intimidated by Spider-Man, pulls out a gun, saying if you don't back off, and instantly the situation goes from striking a nerve to fully infuriating Spider-Man, as he effortlessly slaps the gun out of his hand, telling the man, "Do you know what I'm capable of? Do you know what I can do to you?" As Spider-Man has him held up by a shirt, getting ready to punch him with probably more force than he's intending to do. With the comment going to say all he saw was an opportunity to pay anyone back for taking Ben away from them. But there is just one problem. You see, a few days earlier, he put a kid he caught robbing a grocery store in the hospital with a single punch. And of course, this Spider-Man is inexperienced and doesn't have a full grasp or grapple on his abilities, because that one singular punch that he didn't hold back too much could have literally killed him, showing the man he hit in the hospital broken bones, broken everything, to be honest. And Spider-Man saying it really made him realize he had no understanding of his real strength, no way to control it, and it absolutely scared him to his core. With instead of attacking and getting in his feels about it, Spider-Man simply webs up the thug and leaves him for the police, hanging from a light pole. Spider-Man even thinks back in retrospective to say he found out later that the purse snatcher was an addict, desperate for money. His gun wasn't even loaded. So what if he hadn't held back? What if he was in his feelings in anger and hit him with too much power? Would he have hit the thug in the hospital next? Smashed his skull? Snapped his neck from the force of the punch? Is he really the hero he thinks he is or wants to be, or is he a monster? And you might be saying, okay, well, that is such an extreme reaction, but you gotta understand, this is a 15-year-old teenager, Peter Parker, who currently is not only dealing with the death of his uncle, his father figure basically, but also with these all new and powerful abilities. And of course, with him being a hero, fighting every day, beating bad guys, the power of life and death is literally in the palm of his hands in most situations. And yeah, a lot of people, if you put them in Peter's shoes, definitely would be more casualties starting out at the very least. But moving on, we see Peter finally reach his destination, one that he would never thought he would be at, but desperate times call for desperate situations, as we pick up at a kid's birthday party, with Spider-Man being hired to be the entertainment. You see, his agent Maxie came through, but it wasn't quite what he expected. $125 for a birthday party. And that would be all fine and dandy, right? Quick, easy money. But as it turns out, the birthday boy in question was a real pain in his web shooters, as the birthday boy wasn't satisfied with the Spider-Man, thinking he is nothing but a phony in a cheesy Halloween costume. So Spider-Man starts to do what Spider-Man does, trying to demonstrate that he's the real deal, from climbing and sticking on top of houses, from juggling his web balls, to even lifting a car with a single finger. But of course, the little kid, the birthday boy, dismisses this at every turn, which already Spider-Man has had a pretty bad day, and he is pretty ticked off. So this sets him off even more, with him turning around saying, "That's it, I am done. It is bad enough that I am being humiliated every day by James Jonah Jameson, but I refuse to be demeaned, debased, and degraded by a 10-year-old little kid." Peter just going on to give everybody a piece of his mind, even if he isn't in the right or this is the right time to do so. And as he does, the birthday boy's mother then comes up to him, pleading with Spider-Man to not leave, to not go. As you see, the reason why Daryl, the birthday boy, is like this is because his dad died a couple months ago, and ever since then the little kid has been withdrawn or acting out. And suddenly something dawns on Spider-Man, as he even says the mother thought a visit from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, a hero, might snap the kid out of his little rut. And what does Peter do? He shows up and throws a tantrum worse than his, even going on to say he felt like an idiot, probably because he was one at the moment, but he knew he had to find a way to make amends. After all, they were pretty much in the same situation, just a couple confused kids trying to cope with terrible losses in their lives. And what is Spider-Man's solution to make up for this? Well, he then goes to take the kid on the real deal web swinging high above through the city. And of course, this kid loves this, finally thinking that, oh man, this is the real Spider-Man, this is the real deal. With future Peter chiming in, saying, "I still keep in touch with Daryl. send him a birthday card every year. He's a doctor now, can you believe it? He works with an organization that provides humanitarian medical aid all around the world, which I guess makes him the real superhero. Which Peter learns a valuable lesson, that even if he can inspire some random kid and help him one single time, that could change the course of his life and make him better than he was before. Just going on to show you that even though he has great power, it is not always in the physicals or superpowers, but also what he does for other people. And he has a great responsibility to make that happen. But of course, that is the end of this video here. So yeah, what did you guys think about it? The name of the comic is Spider-Man: The Shadow of Green Goblin. Now me personally, I really enjoyed this, especially considering where current Spider-Man is, but that's an entirely different topic. Of course though, leave all your comments down below. I would love to read them and talk to you guys about it. Leave a like if you enjoyed, or even subscribe if you're new and like this style of content. As always, thank you for watching.